again. Hey folks, this is Brian I got a new setup here and I'm doing some stuff, but hey, I skipped doing session 46 review, which was like, well, 2 weeks ago. And part of that was because I had my old laptop, the battery was finally dying, and my computer saying, "You need to replace your battery soon. You need to replace your battery soon." So I went ahead, got a new laptop, and but when the game was when we went to play the game, my laptop was still over at Geek Squad getting data transferred and all that kind of stuff. So I was using my old laptop that I got for my master's degree, which would have been like 2007. It's a Dell, big 17-inch, nice, big screen kind of thing. But and the battery actually comes off, so I can replace the battery on that one. And I've been doing that. Well, I've only changed it like twice, I think maybe, but it's still kicking. So I was using it, but for some reason, my mic going through that old laptop would not pick up through Discord. So I've got Discord up on my old laptop with my external screen, so I can shift stuff around and see what I'm watching and try and record and that kind of stuff. And it just didn't work. And since they couldn't hear me, I went ahead and joined Discord on my phone. So my audio went through my phone, which I tried to pick up, and I've got an audio file for that somewhere, but I'm not sure how to make it a video file and upload it to YouTube. So that just may be a wash. So anyway, session 46. We head back to the Valley of the Caves, or as the GM is calling it, the Keep on the Borderlands, if that sounds familiar to anybody. Okay, so it's noonish when we get to the caves. We do some tracking. We can tell there's some activity thing going on in this area, but nothing specific. Okay, so we go back to the cave labeled A01. They were labeled alphabetically. It should be A. And we go back and we check the areas that were behind us. Nothing there. So we explore further west. And the tunnel that turns north and opens into a chamber. There are table and benches and chairs and bedding and such. And there are 10 goblins there. And as we move forward, we hear, because Wes has the flashlight on, right? So you can see up ahead. So there's lots of chairs moving, that kind of stuff. So Wes, turns around the corner, casts sudden light, which is kind of a stun grenade kind of thing. And he was able to take out 4 of the 6 goblins sitting around the table. And then there were like 2 or 3 other ones. And so all the rest of them charge except for 1, possibly 2. I know 1 went west. I'm thinking maybe 1 had gone north. It's been so long now, I don't remember. But they charge. Runt moves up. Alexander moves up. Raymond comes up behind and does a bless on Wes. And then Wes casts a sleep 7. And with that, 6 of the goblins go down, including one of the ones that was stunned by the table. So there's 1 left that's fighting us. It turns to Run when it sees everybody drop, but Run gets 1 last stab at him and hamstrings him. Does enough damage on his leg that he drops down. Excuse me. And so people start slitting throats. And as we do that, 2 of the goblins escaped. 1 of which was stunned, and 1 of which was not, if I remember right. So we have 1 goblin left, the goblin that we hamstrung, and there's nothing really we could do with it. And I believe we just killed him, but I didn't say that here. That's kind of cruel on us, isn't it? Well, anyway, so there's a passage on the south side going west, and there's a passage on the west side going north. Raymond moves to the south passage, and Wes and Rent follow up to support him. There's a door at the end of the hall, and with a crash, the door crashes open. Out comes this goblin in black plate armor, and he's got this axe, and behind him there's this goblin with a staff with a skull on top of it, and there's a 3rd goblin with a spear. So a guy in black comes forward and kind of engages everybody so nobody can get by him. Shaman's behind him doing healing spells and counter magic and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a goblin with a spear who's doing that 2-hex jab by him. And then some more goblins start coming in from the north. So Raymond ends up pulling back, and Alexander moves in. and Alexander starts doing some grapple stuff on the guy in the plate because we can't really hurt him because of the plate and stuff and all the magic things going on. And by doing that, opens up a shot for Alexander for Wes to fire an overcharged shock bolt that actually gets an impale on the shaman and kills him. Raymond, meanwhile, moves to engage the guys in the north and runs actually behind, he's going to try and do a backstab kind of stuff. But Raymond gets hit with 2 different slashes. That's hurting him, but he's a cleric, so he heals up again. But we end up killing those other goblins. So the shaman has staff with a skull. Oh, which reminds me, he actually did raise dead or create zombie or skeleton or whatever out of 2 of the dead goblins. So 2 of the dead goblins were zombie-like, attacking at Runt and Raymond. But after he killed the shaman, they just kind of stood there. They didn't have any more instructions, so they just froze up. Okay, so the shaman had a staff with the skull. He also had an amulet and 5 rings. The hero goblin with the plate armor has a crude enamel. That black enamel is crudely plated to it, and it just covers the chest. It's size 8. He also has a chain hauberk, so chest and abdomen. That's 7 points according to this. Although we were discussing today or last night a little more about chain and what it does, because chain's not listed in the new RQG, which we're trying to shift to because it's newer, should be better, right? But some of this stuff I think we should stick with 3, because 3's got everything. He also had 3 rings, and he had this axe, and there's runes on the face of the axe that are not Norse. Wes thinks it's some kind of an Elvish, but it's not like the Elvish that's on the dagger. But Raymond concurs, thinking it's some kind of unusual dialect. Okay, gather up all this stuff, right? We're dragging this stuff around, and we go west into that room between the doors, right? This is a nicely appointed room, right? There's a couch, there's a chest of drawers, there's an actual bed, there are tapestries everywhere, but obviously it's been occupied by goblins for a long time, so it's a complete mess. We do find a hidden compartment underneath the bed that has scrolls in it. I didn't get down how many, so I need to ask about that. But they're in a language we don't recognize. And there's some silver and some copper, cash laying around, and there are candlesticks on the table that are actual silver. So we snag those 2 because we're trying to get our vineyard up and running, and we need cash. Okay, so we go back to the North Passage. Alexander does attempt to use his magic to augment his tracking, but apparently the armor is interfering with that because he's wearing that goblin mail. So we go north again and then west, and there's a large room full of crates and boxes, food, wine, other supplies and stuff. We think this is what the merchant that had been captured with the wife and the guards earlier. This must have been their stuff kind of thing, right? So we're searching around, and Wes finds an empty armor stand, and the weapons rack has 4 long swords on them, and they look like they're steel. They have similar writing on them as the goblin's axe. So the style, we're doing more investigation kind of stuff, right? The style appears to be Old Norse in design, right? And Wes remembers that the Lords of Bloodstone had rebelled against Forg's rule in the past, right? So Forg's rule was fairly dominant here, and these appear to be from that period. So we're thinking they're Forg swords. Okay, so we go south. The dead end stand, we check for secret doors, nothing. So we head all the way back to where we left off hunting the hobgoblins. We go up the stairs, back through the goblin areas, up through the stairs, through the hobgoblin bedding, and there. We're about that point. We're at 35 minutes on the flashlight, so I still got some time because they go on for about 50 minutes every time I cast it. I could cast it longer, but then it would take more mana. Okay, so there's a door on the north, and it's barred. Open up. It does lead outside, which we kind of figured it did, because we're mapping on a map. But on the outside, there's a sign that says, "Please come in. We'd love to have you for dinner." Okay, back inside, we go west. To the west, we hear noises like crossbows cocking, and weapons being drawn. So Runt sneaks forward to investigate. He almost gets impaled with a crossbow bolt. It ends up hitting the wall because he's just looking on the corner. Noel's inside, right? So Wes comes around, flashlight, does a stun cloud. He doesn't do the flashlight. He does a stun cloud and then breezes it down through that passageway, pushing it south. After 2 rounds of pushing, though he doesn't hear any screams or anything. So he comes around, does the flashlight down the hall. It goes. There's obviously a room down there now, and he gets shot at by two gnolls at their far end. And then he pushes the cloud onto them. Allison then charges around the corner to engage. Different set of gnolls are coming up from the east, but he gets impaled in the abdomen for triple his hit points from a crossbow fired from a third set of goblins that are on the west. So there's some discussion because triple hit points in the abdomen from RQG says instant death. There's no arguing, but to the GM, there are no internal organs in the abdomen that are going to kill you instantly. I mean, yeah, you got your liver and you got your stomach and you've got your kidneys and your intestines and stuff, but that's not instant death kind of stuff. So he makes the call, and I'm going to adopt that myself as well. That acts like a triple damage to a limb, kind of stuff. Okay. So Wes casts a sleep spell, and then after a lot of hacking, the gnolls are dealt with. We get a handful of silver and 4 crossbows. If that were so loaded down with stuff, aside, okay, we need to go back to base camp. And so that's how that session ended. Whew, that was a lot. But it was a fun session. But again, that was 2 sessions ago. And after I get done with this one, I'm going to go back in and record for session 47. So look for both of them popping up on YouTube. Happy gaming.